Alex, I really appreciate you doing this because
Sure.
you guys don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah, that's okay.
I really appreciate it. I'm gonna first of all, we were just having some fun. Congratulations on your turn as a doctor in the future users video. We loved that.
Yes, I'm very proud of my new diploma. My mother, especially so.
Those are some acting chops you're displaying there.
Oh, yeah, that right.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yes, in Tim's video.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Hey, Alex, there's an awful lot of talk. While we're going to talk about the tour and the appearance here on the 21st of June, I got the buzz that there was some talk about slowing down. Have you guys been talking about that?
Well, there's a lot of work that goes into preparing for a tour. It's months of rehearsal and a lot of planning for production. And you get out on the road and you do it. We're getting older. It's a little more difficult physically. It's certainly an enormous athletic endeavor for Neil, particularly.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a little more painful than it used to be. So right now we're having a great time and we're really enjoying ourselves. But we'll see how this tour feels and then kind of make a decision what we want to do next after that.
You're not ready to pack it in, are you?
Well, I don't think anyone wants to pack it in or plans to. If anything, we would slow down our tour schedule.
Right.
That's really the only thing that we're talking about.
Is it at the point where you prefer to play golf more than you prefer to be on the road? Is it at that point?
Well, you know what? Being on the road and playing the show are two different things.
Okay, got you.
I always love playing. Every one of us does.
Yeah.
It's just such an amazing thing to do, and it's a blessing that we are well aware of, and we're so lucky to be able to have done this for as long as we've done it. But being on the road has its difficulties. You're away from family. You're kind of out of a routine. And after so many years, that part just becomes a little more challenging. I mean, I play golf because it gets me out of my hotel room. That's first and foremost.
Right.
That's what I need. Neil motorcycles. Getty, unfortunately, is stuck in his room because he sleeps late the day after a show and doesn't talk the whole day. And I mean, we were talking about this the other day, and he said, unfortunately, that's what I have to do if I want to do a good gig the next night. I have to just keep quiet and rest and all of that stuff. So, there are a lot of sacrifices that you make. I mean, they're not, I suppose, big sacrifices, but they relatively, you really have to be quite disciplined on the road.
I'm curious to ask you about what, when I was thinking about, last night I was thinking about what your life must be like between tours, and I thought, I have no idea what that's like. What is your schedule like when you're not on the road or writing or rehearsing?
Well, it's like everybody's, I spend a lot of time with my family. I've got 2 grandkids that we're very engaged with. Mm-hmm. So we see them every weekend, and we're we want to take them around the world now that they're a little bit older and introduce them to other experiences. My wife and I did a lot of traveling last year in our year and a half off.
Nice.
Stuff that we've always wanted to do but never could because of the band scheduling.
Yeah. How old are the grandkids now, Alex?
11 and 7.
Oh, what a great age.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a terrific age. No wonder you don't want to be away from home very often.
Yeah, I was away a lot when my kids were growing up.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that with my grandkids. And I know Neil doesn't want to do that with his daughter, who's only 5 years old. And, and Getty's a new grandfather. His grandson just turned a year old.
Yeah.
So as much as we love it all, there are other things in life that you want to do. And off time, you can, experience those things.
This is really strange. Do the kids have any idea what Gramps does for a living?
Yeah, they've come to the show.
That's cool.
Yeah, they've come to a couple of shows.
Yeah.
They came to Quebec City and Ottawa on previous tours. They were out in Los Angeles a few tours ago at the end of the tour. So, yeah, they have an idea, especially the 11-year-old. He's pretty proficient on Guitar Hero.
Wow.
And they both love music, so they're well aware of who we are and what I do.
Right.
But I'm still just Deda to them.
Deda is that? Does that have?
Yeah, that's Serbian. For
I was going to
grandfather.
say Serbian for grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do your sons still play?
My youngest son does.
Yeah.
We share studio space in the well, it's more of a writing room that we have.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a little thing going with a few other guys, and there's all electronic music, trancey sort of electronic music, and it's really really good stuff.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't expect to do much with it, but he really really enjoys it. So.
I would imagine it must be satisfying for you though to have all that, have that family around you and have all of that, everybody involved in music. That must be a special feeling. That you kind of answered is my next question. I've often wondered. You guys I've met you guys on a number of occasions. You've always seemed so down to earth, feet planted on the ground, never carried away with yourselves. Lovely, lovely people to meet. And I've often wondered how you resisted the temptation to live in Malibu or, to sort of drift into that fancy pants rock star life that, a lot of people sort of succumb to over the course of the years.
Well, I don't know. I think, our foundation is strong. We all grew up in very middle or lower middle class families with, really good work ethics. All our parents worked very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, for the longest time, I remember having 3 jobs.
Wow.
He if he wanted something, he worked for it. So, I think coming from that background, and the fact that we married early, I had a family very young. It was the priorities were different.
Right.
When you came home off the road, you weren't a rock star. You were just dad.
Right.
Or the chauffeur, or the whatever it took to to fall back into a normal what I'm saying normal lifestyle is like the lifestyle of many families. So that was always very grounding for us, I think.
Yeah.
And really, it was more about the music than the lifestyle for us. And we slogged it out for many, many years without the glamour, although we loved what we were doing and had a great time.
And you still live around each other, do you not? I got the impression from seeing that one of my favorite videos is Dinner at the Hunting Lodge,
right,
where you guys are around the table. It's such, I think, an interesting peek into your friendship between the three of you. And I got the impression from that A, you enjoy each other's company, and B, that you live close to each other. Is that still true?
Well, Getty and I live 5 minutes from each other
that's
and have
great.
For I don't know how many years
now.
And Neil lives in California, so we don't see him that much unless he's passing through here for some reason. His family is still here, so we'll always get together if he's passing through. Ged and I, on our off time, we get together for dinner or for lunch, and we're always in contact with each other. And if we feel motivated, we'll sit down and do some writing together. But we stay in more contact, I think.
Another favorite video of mine that a lot of fans talk to me about is the video of you when you were very young. I don't know how that ended up being actually even filmed and available to the public. It's you talking to your parents. I'm sure you've been asked about it before. It's you at the table trying to convince them that you just want to go on the road and you just don't want to be in school anymore. And they, like all parents, are saying, are you sure this is such a good idea? So my question to you is, when did they go, oh, okay, this is working?
Well, first of all, that scene in the documentary, I auditioned for a film that Alan King, very well-known Canadian filmmaker, was making. The premise was he was going to get 10 kids from the Greater Toronto area to move up to a farm and then film them for 10 weeks and see what sort of relationships developed and that. And unfortunately, the movie was kind of a bomb. Nothing really happened. And it was re-released in 2000. But that particular scene, and I was one of 350 kids that auditioned for it.
Wow.
So that particular scene was a day that we had a luncheon for our parents. All the parents came up, and that's just a small piece of a larger conversation that included more of the kids. So we'd had our lunch, we had our little tour, and we were just sitting and talking, and it sort of got heated up a little bit. And I was very passionate about wanting to play music and being a musician, and I didn't find that school was something that I really needed. I didn't need to learn the things that I was learning in school for what I wanted to do.
Right. And I thought it was so relatable because whether you wanted to be a musician or not, for me it was radio. We all had that conversation with our parents at one point.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 17 then.
Yeah, that's exactly why most kids are at that age where they're having this argument or discussion. I don't want to be a lawyer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think for me, probably when we started touring outside of Canada, and we were on television the first time or two.
Right.
Then my parents kind of got it and understood that, okay, so he's a musician and he's an entertainer, and this is how it works.
Right. And when was that for you? When did you think, holy shit, I think this is going to work out?
Last week.
My other question in the sort of same vein, what's the best thing about having the level of success that Rush has had over the years?
The best thing? Well, I guess the ability to put our shows together the way we want, do what we want, make the music that we want. That's always been the case with us, and that is the best thing about it. It's not something that all musicians or artists have the freedom for. So we've been very, very fortunate. I mean, there are a lot of great perks about what we've done, and we've worked very hard for the life that we have.
Yeah.
But we feel like we've earned it.
Well, and I also think, and people who've seen you know this, no matter whether they saw you in 1977 or they saw you a few years ago, there's a joy that comes from the stage. You guys love to play. You get a real kick out of playing. That's the impression you leave us with. How do you choose a set list from such a vast catalog?
Well, that's always a difficult thing. With this particular tour, with R40, we had the concept of the way we wanted to present the show itself, and to deconstruct the stage and sort of move from the present back through our past to the very beginning. So once we established what the presentation was going to be and how the production was going to work, then we could go through the songs and select a couple of songs from every album. And we've excluded a couple of albums because they were we really represented them on the last couple of tours. But it's really a lot of fun the way it moves back, and we're playing some older classic stuff that the fans haven't heard in a very long time.
Fantastic.
And it's been going over really, really well. Everybody's really enjoying themselves.
Just going to ask you two listener questions. One listener asked me to ask you, if you had to introduce somebody to Rush who didn't know Rush, what song would you play them? I thought that was interesting.
Wow.
That's a tough one, I know.
That is a really tough one.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I said Spirit of the Radio, but that's latter-day Rush.
Yeah, I don't know. We go through so many changes.
Yeah.
We've gone through so many different eras.
Yeah, evolution, I'd call it, wouldn't you, Alex?
Yeah, and it would be hard to pick. Obviously stuff from Moving Pictures is representative of the time and a peak. And because that gets played so much at classic radio, those songs are the ones that a lot of people relate to as us.
Yeah. Rather
than say, something from Counterparts or Snakes and Arrows or Clockwork Angels.
Right.
Yeah, that would be a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's almost an unfair question, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And the other one I get asked a lot to ask you is, my kid is picking up a guitar. I know you've been asked this 1,000 times, but indulge me. If my kid's picking up a guitar, what's the best piece of advice you give them?
To just feel free with it. Just play when you want to play. Find the love for it, because when that happens, you'll not be able to put the instrument down. And not everybody does that.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest thing about learning to play an instrument, whether it's a guitar or the piano or the clarinet, is you can play it for the rest of your life, and it'll give you great satisfaction. Some of the best playing that I do is when I'm sitting on the couch in the evening with all the lights turned off, looking out at the city and just strumming and playing, and I'll do that for hours.
Wow.
Without even realizing it.
I was going to ask you, do you play for your grandkids? Like, do you pick up a guitar at a family gathering?
Yeah, it's tough to compete with an iPad.
That's something that most parents and grandparents listening.
Well, I got to say, my eldest grandson, who's 11, has developed an interest in guitar. And so he's learned a few songs, and he goes online and he learns how to play them.
Wow.
On YouTube, there are lots of places to go to learn how to play these songs.
Yeah.
And it's very sweet, and I hope he keeps it up.
Nice.
But I'm not putting any pressure on him.
This is my last question. You've been very generous with your time, Alex. Thank you so much. There's a lot of talk in Montreal over the last couple of days about Le Studio and Morin Heights coming down. There's someone who's trying to kickstart a project to save it, but it looks like it's going to come down. And I just thought I would ask you to maybe tell us something about Le Studio and what your memories are, because I know you guys made some great records there.
We loved that place. We had such a great time. We made some really important records there: Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures and Signals.
Wow.
And even Grace Under Pressure, which was a very difficult record to make, we still loved being there. There was something very magical about the place.
Yeah.
Especially in the early days when Andre Perry was the owner.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad to hear that it's going to be torn down, but it's been an empty shell now for many, many years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's even sadder that it sits like that. Unfortunately, talk to the people at Black's Cameras. The times have changed in this digital age. All of these iconic places like Le Studio and Eastman Kodak, and they're gone.
Yeah.
Because the technology has changed and it's just not that thing anymore.
Yeah, you're right. It's a different. Well, you mentioned it right with your grandkids on the iPads. It's a new world for sure.
Like I would love it if Le Studio reopened and it was a vibrant studio, but they just wouldn't get any business.
Yeah, I hear you. Alex, I tell everybody that asks me, you guys are so much fun to talk to. You're so kind and good with your time. I really, really appreciate it because I know you guys don't have to do this anymore, so it's really gracious of you. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, Terry.
Thanks very much, Alex.
Thanks. Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, me too. We'll see you on the 21st of June.
Great.
Okay, thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.